All right, so let's quickly look at the concept known as incretin effect. So incretin effect is simply if I'll use this image to actually explain what is incretin effect. Incretin effect simply means if I take oral glucose, it will cause a more release of what? Insulin. That's just what incretin effect, okay? So let me say if you take oral glucose and if glucose is administered through the intravenous route of administration, one of this can cause a more rapid release in what? This thing, insulin, okay? So they are just simply talking about the effect that oral glucose has on the release of insulin in the body, okay? So let's look at the concept so that you guys know what is incretin effect. Incretin effect actually refers to an enhanced insulin release and glucose-dependent stimulation of insulin secretion by intestines in response to what? Oral glucose intake. So if you take glucose through the oral route, you know some patients are weak. So as they are weak, you might want to now replace some glucose in the body. So if you take glucose through the oral route, they are now saying that what? It will basically stimulate the release of insulin faster. Okay, so what is the mechanism? How is it done? So oral glucose intake will stimulate the release of what? Incretin hormones. So what are the incretin hormones? We have the what? GLP and we have the GIP. The GLP is the glucagon-like peptide one, while the GIP is the gastric inhibitory polypeptide. Okay, so these incretin hormones now will now bind to the receptors in the pancreatic beta cells, which are the cells that actually release insulin. Okay, so now it will now increase insulin secretion and it will now what? Stimulate much more glucose uptake. Okay, enhanced glucose dependent insulin. Now it will now enhance what? Glucose dependent insulin release. So now the insulin that will be released during this time is dependent on the amount of glucose that you actually took in. So incretin effect simply saying what? If you take glucose through the oral route, it will stimulate much more um, insulin release than if you take glucose through the intravenous route of administration. That's what incretin effect means. So what are the key players? We just have the enzymes. The physiological effect, it will improve glucose tolerance, it will enhance insulin sensitivity, it will reduce glucagon levels, there will be delayed gastric emptying, there will be suppressed appetite, okay, because you actually have all the energy, there's much more glucose now, so there's much energy, so you don't really need appetite and all that. Pathophysiological implication, diabetes mellitus. Diabetes mellitus is when there is impaired incretin effect. So you know this incretin is supposed to be there so that what? A lot of insulin is released. So in situations where you are taking glucose but still this incretin effect is not there, for um this insulin is not there, you are taking glucose but the insulin is not being released, okay, that's where we say there's an impaired incretin effect. Okay, then obesity too, that's where you are talking about altered, that's where you're talking about altered incretin hormone levels. All right, then metabolic syndrome like what? Reduced insulin sensitivity. All right, so guys, that's it about the concept of incretin effects, the definition, the mechanism, the physiological effect.